What's up, guys? It's your girl, Chrys Childs, Why on the one and only FUBU Radio. You know, I'm glad you tapping in and locked in, but you know, the only way to truly stay tapped is to close. What else? Follow me. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl, Chrys Childs. Why? Do not ask me why, right here on the one and only FUBU Radio, powered by U42. All right, so we're going to have some conversations today, and you already know the drill. I need you to stay involved, stay in the know, follow us at all the socials, official FUBU Radio, at Chrys Childs. Don't forget that why, and you're going to find out how to follow my guest as well. You know, I mean, if she wants you to, it's going to be strictly approved only. All right, but I do have my good friend here, Julia J. How you doing, baby? Thank you for coming.
Hi, Chrys. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. So, for all of you guys wondering, why is this person here? It's because she's amazing, she's beautiful, she's got all this good light, all of those things and above, but we're here to tell a story. And I think this is an important story to tell because I think a lot of us women, not even just women, I'm actually not even going to just focus on women, because I think it's everybody, because you can be involved in a toxic situation and not even know it. But especially in a time in social media, after the Me Too movement, and people are just sharing their stories, especially with the viral story of who the fuck did I marry? And that was like a 50-part like TikTok series.
There's a lot of those going on.
Exactly. And you also went viral for telling your story as well.
Yes.
And, you know, guys, this is going to have some, maybe some triggering themes. You know, this is an adult and mature conversation. So, and we're going to have some themes of, you know, some verbal, mental abuse, finance abuse. So I'm going to sit here and let Julia tell snippets of her story, but we're going to talk about these things, the dangers, what it does to our trust, what it does to our heart, especially, and, you know, and putting things out there for the world to see how strong that is. Like, you're in your most vulnerable space. So I was, obviously, as someone who follows you, as your friend, you know, to be able to see you tell your story, I mean, it's uncomfortable. You know, it's uncomfortable because you're watching someone that you know go through something and tell their stories about how they were wronged. Now, I'm going to let you kind of sum it up, you know, in a way where we're not naming names, but those who know. But Julia, I'm going to let you take the mic.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for having me. This platform is amazing to tell a story, enlighten everybody. Well, it starts with, I met a man 2017. We hit it off. At the age that I was at, you don't go through a long period of dating and courting and whatever. After a certain age in your late 30s, you know what you want. Mm-hmm. I knew what I wanted, and you get it done.
So you basically said, if you like it, you better put a ring on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's what happened. 2018, I got engaged, and the mysteries started. It was a little bit of a mystery before, but you kind of disregard those, and you hope that, you know, it's not you just being jaded living in New York City.
So wait, before we get into the like actual details, just so for those of you who can follow along, this is a story about being happy and missing the red flags, because I know you guys can relate to missing the red flags in a situation. And this was during the relationship that things started to unfold, or how long before like the happy bubble really started to pop for you?
2017, when we started dating, I did see a few red flags. Mm-hmm. But you kind of disregard those, you know. Mm-hmm. He had a great job. He was a certified CPA in, you know, Oregon. Like, you don't think that a person would sacrifice all of those things that you work hard in life to achieve. Mm-hmm. So I never in my mind thought that kind of malice would come from a person. Okay,
so we're talking about like a reactionary, or just like...
Just hidden secrets. Okay. A lot of hidden secrets that like in the long run would do damage to a person.
Okay.
If you create a family, mm-hmm. when you join two sides together to create a family, you know, people don't realize that whatever baggage I have or he has does play a part when you build a union, because now it's no longer him or me, it's us.
Right. So just to kind of tell the story a little bit, like, so you're happy, you're in this bubble, and you're starting to see these secrets. What's messed up about it is because, like, again, you know, people tend to put individuals on a pedestal. Oh, they have a job, they have money, they don't need to behave like this. Like, what are you doing? And it kind of sets the tone for, okay, well, there's something wrong with the other person, or it kind of makes the story distorted. So in your case, and just so we can talk about the details of everything, I mean, he just pretended to be somebody entirely different, and he was a...
Oh, well, he pretended to be Prince Charming, as if he was saving me. He threw me a bone in life.
In what way?
I started my company, Access Creations, a sports marketing agency. And of course, he was employed by a huge sports brand, and I was a third-party contractor for that brand. Yes, he introduced me to the brand, but it was up to me to fulfill
put in the work,
obtain the contracts, and execute them. Being that I did that well, I made quite a bit doing it. My company was successful. Exactly. So it was always a pity story. When I saw a red flag and I spoke to my friends or my mom or whatever, they're like, he wouldn't do that. He helped you build your company.
Or
XYZ.
The famous line in that movie, Savannah, he's a good man.
Yeah, but nothing really has to do with the other, right?
Yeah.
Like, your moral compass has nothing to do with your job.
Right. People tend to... So, again, it might not have been physical, but, like, it's the secrets is a certain type of mental abuse. And those are the things that we don't talk about because again, look at all these dating shows. They ask these women, what do you want? And the first thing they say is, like, oh, I want someone who has morals. I want someone who has 6 figures, et cetera, et cetera. And these are all surface things.
Yeah.
Things that people can honestly feign. And I think that's the conversation that we're not having a lot, that we can be in this bubble and you can get your quote unquote perfect man, but one, there's no such thing as perfect.
Never.
And two, like, what's perfect if you're just talking about the exterior? Because again, these secrets unfolding, you're building a life with someone. So someone having secrets when you in turn building a life is messed up.
I guess the thing about my situation is that I came complete, right? I was completely honest, full forth, whether it was the good, the bad. You knew me as a person. And that was my imagination, or what I thought of what a relationship should be like, right? You can only appreciate a relationship if you've been through the rocky and survived through it.
Right.
Right. So this is where, I started to just reel it back a little bit and not tell a lot of people about the personal things of my relationship, because I was looking like the evil supervillain, and he was glorified on a pedestal
as
because
if he saved you.
Exactly. And it's
helping is not saving. You're supposed to help your partner. You're supposed to do these things together.
So a couple red flags in the situation: if I'm married or we're married and we're living together, you're supposed to help your spouse and whatever they excel in, just like I would help my spouse, vice versa, right? Like, he was a CPA, and I remember at one point in time him telling me, well, you didn't pay me to file your taxes. And at that point, he was living in my apartment in Harlem. And I said, well, how are you going to live in my apartment, not contribute to anything? I never asked him to pay for a bill or anything, because those were my bills,
right.
Like, I didn't ask him to contribute, because for me, as I was raised as a man, my dad always taught me, like, the man will contribute. You shouldn't have to ask him. So I kind of found myself asking him to do things that were owed in a relationship, right? You're owed to sit down and have that healthy conversation about what you bring to the table and I bring to the table, and figure out how it works. It works different for every couple, but you have to figure out how it works. If you don't have that conversation, there's the red flag.
Right.
So I remember him asking me, well, you didn't pay me to file your taxes. And I said, wait. You made all this money. Don't ask you for a penny. And you're asking me to pay you.
So those are signs of abuse. It's
Exactly.
manipulation to a certain extent.
Exactly.
So, all right. So just give me a timeline of from that point to where it really blew up, so people can understand the wrongs that were wrongs. Because we're talking a little vaguely here right now.
Oh, yeah. So I think I got engaged in 2018. Everything pretty much blew up within the last year. 2023 hit the fan. He packed everything. Like a couple of my other items that were remaining at home. And he took my belongings and just disappeared. But it was during a whole course because he played victim so well, you know? And
Did you know he was leaving, or did it just kind of like happen out the blue?
I didn't know he was leaving. I asked him. I didn't know he was leaving. I asked him, but I'm more observant. What you see and what you say, if it doesn't line up, then there's something going on there. He was telling me no, but there were things missing from the house, you know, like
A little bit at a time.
yeah, clothes started to disappear, pictures. When I took a step back and started reevaluating what makes a relationship, I realized I don't have any pictures in my house of us or nothing. He never wanted to take pictures. He always hid from the camera, the video. When I dug in as of recently into like the purchase of our home, because we got engaged 2018, bought a home 2019, I put down over 250,000 cash, well over, onto the house.
And this is someone, like, again, you were building a relationship with. They had a reputable company that they were working for. They had, you know, you believe that they had their money, their own stuff together. So you're putting in the work on your side.
Right. And I come to find out when I sat down with my closing attorney that only 212 was applied to the closing.
So the 250,000 that you put in.
To be exact, I gave 275. So when you look at it, 63,000 is gone. Approximately 63,000 just vanished.
Wow.
You know? So you have to start to think like,
now, is this when you were going back and looking, or did you know?
no, I didn't know because
Okay.
he kept all that paperwork from me. So another aspect of the relationship was the mental abuse. He didn't like for me to read documents. He would just throw the page of the document to sign, and I would just sign it. But in any normal person, if your spouse is asking you, hey, sign this, this is for this, you don't really question. You kind of just sign it, because I would not have anybody that I live with be that malicious towards me.
Oh no, we're gonna attack that in a second. But so you're signing the papers. You find out about the house. I know that, like, again, your stuff went viral, so you're finding other things. So you're essentially finding out what?
I find out about the house. I found out about the stock account. My stock account was cleaned. I'll be accurate. I'll say our stock account, we had a joint.
Because you were headed towards marriage. Not yet married, but headed there.
Exactly. So this whole time I was engaged. We were heading towards marriage, and the stock account was closed without my authorization, without my signature.
Now, how does something like that happen? Because I'm sure there's protections and whatnot.
So you would have to personally know the stockbroker, and this individual, he did personally know.
So there were other relationships at play that pretty much it was done behind your back.
Correct. Completely blindsided.
So we're talking about $63,000 from the closing disappeared. So now the stock account is closed. Was there any value in the stock account?
Well, when the stock account was transferred, so it was transferred from one stock account to another, but to transfer funds and close it, you have to have both
signatures, right?
Signatures, authorization. You have to speak to somebody, sign for it, XYZ. It was approximately about 320,000.
Okay. And you're saying basically you didn't even know about it. So we're talking about fraud on both cases.
I didn't know.
With someone that you're living with. So essentially this is like sleeping with the enemy.
Exactly. So again, 2023, he disappeared October 2023. Now I'm doing my research, right?
And this is how you're finding out all this stuff. Because are you looking for him? Did he disappear? Or are you just trying to look for answers? Because what made you look?
A little bit of everything, because when somebody disappears, like, we didn't have a conversation on how the relationship was going to end. What are your responsibilities? What are my responsibilities?
And you have all these joint financial stuff.
Exactly, because one thing I never really disclosed to anybody, in 2019, I was ready to exit the relationship because I personally battle with anxiety. And if you don't know people that battle with anxiety, they need, for sure, answers, you know? He did a great job of swaying me emotionally and mentally and watching me spiral through anxiety. You know, my mom called him at one point in time and said, hey, listen, you got to button up because you're doing a lot of damage to her.
Right.
You know, like, you work hard going through. And the thing about anxiety is that
but at that time,
we communicate.
Right. But at that time, your mom reaching out is more of her or less reaching out to someone that she thought was going to be your loving husband. Not someone where she's like, hey, you're this, that. It's more or less like, yo, like, you have to be responsible for, like, what's going on.
Yeah, so I told him, like, listen, none of this makes sense. Like, I was getting a whiff that he represented me as his employee.
Okay, so now there's like a little bit of a double life type of situation brewing here.
Oh, absolutely. It was a double life the whole time.
Really? So when did you find that out? Like, so in double life, what do you mean? Like, was not a kid in the family or anything like that?
Oh, married. A full married.
So you're engaged to someone. And so through the exit of this, do you think that any of this contributed to why this behavior was going on? Do you think that he was really in it? Was this marriage before you, after you? Like, what did you find out, girl? Tell me the tea.
Well, the only thing that I can really tell you about this situation is that when he exited, I started looking through everything. Because the month prior of him leaving, I have a 1,200 square foot condo. There's no possible 2 bedrooms. There's no reason that you should be following me from room to room to room, as if I'm gonna steal something, do something, whatever, right?
Is this after the relationship or while you're in the relationship?
There was really no timeline on when we ended it.
Okay. So it was just getting weird. You guys were cohabitating, didn't really know how to like loosen it up, so it starts getting weird fast.
Exactly. So from what I understand is, and I have a lot of evidence showing that he still, to me, he represented me as his fiance, his spouse, whatever. But to everybody outside, I wasn't. You know, it was just awkward because even in the building that I live in, he had friends and they would ask me, oh, well, when you're moving? And I was like, I'm not moving. I'm not even looking for a home.
Right.
So I knew like what was going on in my house was very much different than what was going on outside of that. And I found the W-2. November 2023, my mom came to visit.
So you were just like, listen, you put your detective hat on.
Detective.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we do need closure, right? It doesn't mean that I need closure from you, but I need to know.
I don't know. I didn't really look for closure.
Okay.
Right? Because during this whole process, I was going through therapy. He smoke screened me to go through couples therapy. I went to couples therapy. My therapist kind of looked at us like, I don't understand what's going on. I went through therapy on my own to like figure out some kinks from childhood and a better mental state as I'm going through my new situation, right?
Okay.
So one thing I, realized in October, November, my mom said, let me see that W-2 again. I showed her. She's like, did you ever realize that it says married on there? And I was like, you're right. And this is the W-2.
But I mean, could he have just been saying married, like as if he was married to you already?
No, because as I was going through everything and I thought like things were weird, I was taking pictures and videos of everything I found in the house that I thought was awkward. Right?
So he left the house and all the stuff is behind. So you're just going through it.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he wanted you to find it.
No, so I mean, it was hidden in my house. Like a lot of these things were hidden in my house that caught me by surprise. So yeah, my mom is like, the W-2 was 2017, 2018, 2019. 2017, I met him September 2017. So when you start looking at all these things, you were not married with me 2017,
yeah.
Right?
And nor were we thinking about that in 2017.
But I think you brought up an interesting point. You asked me, well, what about the wife? If I was a wife and my husband was gone for 5 years, because you look at it, 2017, he was coming to stay at my house in Harlem at periods at a time. And we were together from 2018 to 2023 of October. Aren't you calling to see where he is?
I mean, you don't know, like, don't know what happens behind closed doors, right? That there is speculation there. I mean, that could have ended. I mean, he's not back there, it's over. So it's just messed up because you're building a life with someone. And I think this is what the conversation should focus around, because this does a lot to you. This shakes your trust. It shakes what you believe in love and how it should go.
But I'll add another note onto that, right? If you were married, if you were dissolving your marriage, it's a very easy conversation to have before you get involved with somebody, right?
Yeah.
It's an easy conversation.
Especially if you're thinking about going into.
If there's nothing that is hidden, It's easy to say, well, I was married before.
Right. But if all your tax forms say that, which actually, you've probably mentioned this before, how were you guys ever going to get married if he's already legally married? If he knew he was married upon meeting you and there was no dissolution of marriage, then he's entering into something that basically is a false pretense for you.
And he's a CPA. So this is where it gets a little wonky. I believe that there should be a database that connects every state that shows couples that are married, people that are married, divorced, like the status of a person. If you're linking your driver's license to all the states, then that's something you should be linking as well. The thing about it is you won't actually find a marriage license until you know the county and the state that person has gotten married. He could have gotten married overseas. He could have gotten married in another state that you never knew he was in.
I mean, but it's safe to say that no matter what his legal status, essentially he's not present in this person's company. It's just like you said, it's just like the web of lies. And I think, again, I appreciate you telling this story. I know there's a million details that honestly, we talk about the rabbit hole all the time.
Well, I think one thing that we didn't even touch is when I found the stock account vanished. Right? I found out that he attempted to pull a life insurance policy out on me.
What? So this is really not even who the fuck did I marry? Who the fuck was I about to marry, or who I thought I was going to marry?
Yeah, and I guess the most important thing is the stockbroker. You never know how unhinged that individual is, that they would actually commit a crime for you disappearing, right? I remember calling him and saying, I'm not married to him. Why are you referring to me as his wife? I've never been married to him.
Right.
He said, oh, I thought you were married. I said, no, I was never married. I was engaged, but he's been married to a whole nother person.
So this is you trying to find out answers. You're talking to the people directly, letting them know. But then essentially it's nobody's really trying to rectify it, because then it exposed them to their errors. Right. So this goes a lot deeper than just his wrongs. It's the covering up of other
Everybody
people's
had
wrongs.
their hand in the cookie jar.
So essentially we're talking about over $350,000?
No, more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the total estimated losses from this relationship?
The total estimated were close to 700,000, still counting.
Wow, because you're still
Cash.
encumbering things. You're dealing with lawyers, you're dealing with et cetera, which is
legal
why we're not
fees.
going into the details because things are still open.
Correct.
And
With the reason why he's able to get away with a lot of this is that his brother's an attorney.
So you're dealing with a CPA, an attorney.
His mother helped him as well. If I would leave the house, his mother would do a great job of calling me, texting me, just acting like she was checking up on me.
But again, I don't like to talk about a third and fourth party because, it's a mother and a son relationship. We don't know what the state of the mind was at that time, but I can definitely understand the manipulation, the manipulation of it all. It's just the mothers that don't hold their sons accountable for not being good men. Well, because because even she doesn't have to have a relationship with you, but it's what kind of man you're.
But I also think about this, right? If you're in a relationship with somebody, my mother would not stand for any of that. I have a sibling, for him to do any of that. There's a way to stand forward.
No, 1,000%. It's the lack of discipline and understanding that this is a human being that, essentially, they're adults, but you don't have to condone it.
I did a great job of notifying all members of the family on this situation, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the theft of the funds.
So you're just telling it all.
But you have to be vocal, right? Because he created his own narrative of who I was outside of my home. And this is why I get blackballed or get the silent treatment by a lot of his peers in the NBA.
Yeah, because you guys were building a life, so a lot of things were mixed. Your relationships, your work relationships.
Well, as I come to learn and find out, many people didn't even know that I was engaged to him. So he presented me as I was his employee, and he would step away and be like, oh, my employee just got engaged, right?
Yeah.
And people would come to me, hey, you just got engaged. When are you going to get engaged? When are you getting married? Thinking they're
asking from his point of view, saying, oh, no, yeah, we got engaged, but he already set a premise. It's like the man that wears the white suit and is like, nah, babe, I was at an all-white party, when really it was his wedding.
Exactly. So think about it. From the moment we got engaged, September 2018, it was just a false narrative. It was, I was crazy, I was...
The gaslighting.
It from a very long time. So people had already... I noticed different things. When you see a couple and you only greet one person out of the couple and you don't speak to the other person, there's energy that is not aligning. There's something there, a story that's not being told and put out on the table.
So I guess my question for you, which is what anybody would ask, right? Because if this happened over a number of years, these flags, like once you did get it, why even stay and endure it for as long as you've had? I mean, I understand the complications, but it's just because people ask that,
Oh, of course. At that time, we were in a litigation for our condo for construction defect. I didn't want to be adverse to a group, so that's why
it's too much tied in together.
Yes.
And I think this is a conversation that we need to have as women too, because look at these things that are happening. One, listen, I wasn't allowed to watch Lifetime growing up because Lifetime TV, my dad used to call it murder TV, because you'd be wondering why they be snapping. This is why people snap. And I think the conversation really is, it's scary because you want to believe in love. You want to believe that your partner is, the person you ultimately trust. You don't think they're going to put a life insurance policy out on you, that you have to be scared for things, that they're going to start to make you think that you're crazy. This is stuff right out of a movie.
Well, you have to also think about it like this. And all of this, I'll give you a quick synopsis of something. He sat at 6 months as the president of the women's soccer team.
Okay.
And never was there a background check done. How do you do that and you deal with women? I know in my household with him, I was threatened to be killed. My body thrown in a ditch.
But then that's what we talked about. People who have a high level of respect or a high standing or a certain look are never looked at to be the villains, but that's usually where we see the mask. The good, the bad, the Joker, the Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Everyone turned a blind eye, turned their back. When I started to come out about these things, and thank God if I wasn't smart enough to have documentation, because some of these things that I haven't even begin to reveal are legitimately wild,
No, absolutely. Because especially when you are so quiet about something, right? Because you're embarrassed or you don't want to put too much spotlight on the relationship, and then to all of a sudden say the things that are happening, it's people we see it right now with what's happening with Diddy and the people that are accusing him of stuff. Those people are saying who's lying and who's not, and it's gotten to a point, unfortunately, we're in a point of high level narcissism that there's so many people that do the wrong things, tell the wrong stories, that it takes away the focus from the people who actually live it.
You said something very important, and people fail to realize everybody has a pattern in life, right? So when we talk about this, for me, I recognized he had a pattern in life very early. The way he left me in a relationship was essentially the way he came in. And I didn't realize it, he came to me with a duffel bag full of money. I wondered, where did you get that money? There was a huge article, 2017, with the NCAA scandal. Kickbacks are prevalent. That's where that came from. And I said, okay, a duffel bag full of money, clothes, nothing else.
Yep.
No valuables, no pictures, no nothing. Came with a brand new car.
Yeah. It's a character of being, and we as women have to be more diligent in who we vet. And sometimes it really doesn't matter how much you vet a person, because they will stay and play this character for as long as that they need to get the ultimate result out of it.
I didn't realize that the person was even in the legal system until I had a private investigator.
So now we see that there's a criminal background here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And funny enough that he accused me on a Zoom meeting before with a group of people that I had a criminal background.
Deflection at its finest, girl. They was dropping the crumbs for you.
Yeah. So he accused me in front of a group of people, and I was in utter shock.
So now what do picking up the pieces look like for you? Because like I said, listen, there's tons of women have dealt with this, dealt with the imposter syndrome or thought they were dating someone, and even men, because women do it too. You have this girl, you think she's perfect, and you find out, she deleted her wholeness, so everybody has a past. Now, how do we get from people having a past to us essentially trusting them?
Well, I think the most important thing is you have to do work on yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? You have to understand and know who you are as a person. When I first met this individual, he did a great job of gaslighting me and shaming me of my sexuality. Mm-hmm. Of course, I worked in the nightlife industry for years. I was bottle girl everywhere. Mm-hmm. And that's what he honed in on, I was never ashamed of it. I never did anything wrong. That's how I made my bread and butter for years before I started my own company. But it goes back to like knowing who you are as a person, mm-hmm. what your moral compass is, knowing where you want to go from here on out. For myself, it's a long road to recovery. I dealt with 5 years of this, so I'm battling people he knows. I'm battling, financial institutes to make sure I secure my assets.
Mm-hmm. You have identity fraud issues.
Identity fraud, exactly. Identity fraud, forgery, it's...
You don't even know how many things could be in your name.
Well, also, I don't know how many things that could be in my name. He did a great job of redacting the information on where we resided. Mm-hmm. So nobody will ever find a trace of me in him.
It has your main information, but never will find any notification to get to you unless you reach out. So we're talking about like the disintegration of not just like a
who
heartbreak,
you are as a person.
Your core. It made you rethink things, because I imagine, right? We like to think that we have good judgment, right? Like, okay, especially being in the world where you deal with a lot of people, we're not going to get too deep into it, but nightlife makes you realize certain personalities in people. Mm-hmm. You think that you did the vetting. So it's like to be tricked, to be conned by someone is like, damn.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting about this that a lot of women don't realize that work in nightlife. Mm-hmm. You need to protect your space a little more. Mm-hmm. I was actually a target from the very beginning. I was sought out on social media. He had photos of me. I'm not a person that sends photos of myself.
Yeah, but we live in this world where the photos are out.
Screenshots of my social media, gave it to somebody and said, I want to meet her. Mm-hmm. He presented himself at the club I worked at the time, wooed me, we started dating, and that's where the plan started, because he said, hey, don't you want to live with me? I said, no, I have my own place. Mm-hmm. I have my own place. I pay my own bills. I'm not getting engaged until I get, I'm not moving until I get engaged. Mm-hmm. That's where
And if that's all you need, and that's messed up, because, a lot of men say, I can't guess what you're feeling. I don't know what you want. You have to tell me, right? But then us as women, it's like the catch-22, right? I want to tell you what I want, but I also don't want you to use that information against me.
Well, he does a good... they typecast you a lot, right? Mm-hmm. They look at the couples, they go, oh, well, why would she date him? Mm-hmm. Like, she's so attractive and he's, okay, Women want different things. At my time that I was looking, to be in a relationship, I wanted stability. Mm-hmm. It was very attractive to have stability with somebody that had a CPA license. I figured I can learn and grow a lot financially with somebody. Mm-hmm. And it was always, you're not attracted to me. I'm not your type. I've never had a type. Mm-hmm. Everybody I've dated was very different. So you went into this
with an insecurity, which kind of like ended up attacking you, which is also another form of abuse.
But the insecurity was really based on what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Because when he got engaged to me, he was with somebody.
Of course, it's deflection. Listen, this is 101 here, all right? We know it. When you say it, it's because you're doing it.
He had a full-blown relationship. Living in a home and everything.
I mean, I think, like, again, ladies, for those of you that are listening, and men, it does, unfortunately, we're in a world where people can know about you before you even know of their existence. They can facilitate and place themselves in your lives.
Absolutely.
And we do have to be more careful. But what I mean by more careful is, like, again, you said be strong in yourself. Because if you know who you are and you have a good foundation, no one can break the cracks in that. But if you're not in a good place, that's why I've said it before on this show, it doesn't take two halves of a person to make a whole person.
Exactly.
We shouldn't be saying I'm looking for my other half. I need to be whole, and that other person I need to make sure is whole, so that we can have two whole worlds together. Because essentially when you're putting these two worlds together, which also, like, I feel sad about what you even went through, because like now you have to unravel these worlds, you know, and you're right there. It's the promise of engagement, you know, it's the dowry, it's everything. It's like,
it's funny you say that, because some of the things that I was embarrassed about, you know, or that were taken from me, celebrating your bachelorette with your girlfriends, a first time of being engaged, announcing it, you know, like those are all the innocent things that are just stripped away from you because of the vicious game, right? And it's kind of like, that's what puts a little bit of taint in my life. Do I want to do this a second time?
well, we have to, what I'm going to ask you next too, you know what I'm saying, is like, what would you do different? Because there is a sense of responsibility in ourselves. You know, at the end of the day, this is the things that make us stronger. You're still going through it, so you're still going through the feelings and the hell of trying to regain your life back. But if you could look back, or even tell someone who might enter that situation, what would you do different?
I would say what you see and what you hear, if they don't align, to make sure you have that healthy conversation, because your instincts are strong, right? The best instinct that we have is what we see physically. The second one is what we hear. If they're not aligning, it's the same thing when you cross the road.
Look both ways.
You look both ways and you cross. If you hear a horn honking, you're going to stop. Right? Because that's aligning that trouble is coming.
Right.
It's the same thing, you know, make sure those two things align. If they don't align, sit down and have that conversation. Maybe you're going to be like, nah, I can't do this.
Right.
You know?
And sometimes those things not aligning doesn't even warrant a conversation.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's okay to walk away and see that, because for me, you know me, girl, I'll be like, all right, let's go on to the next one. But it comes, and I don't mean next one is in person, but I mean like the energy doesn't match. You can't force it together.
But it's also important to know, what is your tolerance in a relationship?
This is true.
Because a lot of people have tolerances. Some people may be okay with somebody cheating on them, and others may not be okay with somebody cheating on them. So you have to understand, what is your threshold and tolerance, because cheating on somebody and scamming, excuse my language, scamming the fuck out of somebody are two different things.
Nah, absolutely.
Right?
Loyalty, the way that you think is honor.
For me, I look at cheating as a one-time thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to understand what your tolerances are, because a lot of people get things confused. Because I was engaged to somebody, this is not about another woman for me. These are things that were actually taken from me that were mine. You know, my right to be a human being and make decisions, my right to have a voice in a relationship. There would be many times where we would walk into a room and you're like, don't say anything, just stand there.
Do you think that maybe you looked past it because your want for stability was more than, or brighter than, the flags?
I looked past it for so many different reasons. That's one main reason. The second reason is because, you know, I came from nightlife also. And it's always a stigma with nightlife women.
The transition out.
The transition, you're always on a hunt looking for things. And just, I wanted to fight for what I thought I had a relationship in, you know? I wanted to prove the statistic of, I'm not that. Which in reality, I never had to prove to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, like it's unfortunate to get into these type of situations, but anybody who's going through something like this, or has a story to tell, or you feel like a little bit off, listen, ask the questions or get out sooner than later. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been on a murder TV rampage. I've been watching all these shows, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've seen so many husbands and wives kill each other. I'm a believer in love. I'm a Disney kid. I want to believe in the fairy tale. But the reality of it is, this is where we're at. It's more Gotham City than it is Disney.
Oh, absolutely. But
know?
We come from a generation and age where that was the dream.
And this is the new frequency.
The new frequency now is to be single. You know?
Ready to mingle, baby.
Exactly. Hot girl
Shake
summer.
it up. With some hot sauce on that bitch. No, it's spicy. But, you know, for those of you that are going through things, and even I tell you this, you know, it's unfortunate these things happen to us, but it does set a reaffirmation in our own foundation. But also, we deserve love. We deserve truth. We deserve what we give out into the world. And one thing that I always tell people in terms of giving myself hope and anybody else, if it exists in you, there's your match, because it exists elsewhere. There's nothing in this realm, in anything that you can think of, that you can imagine, that doesn't exist. And if it's love or companionship or trust, it exists there for you, but you have to be more diligent about what you want too.
I also think it's about your family.
Yes.
As well. Family.
Family is different. It can mean anything.
Foundation. A lot of individuals that victimize people like myself, they look for those character flaws in you, and they hone in on those things, you know. You have to be strong. You have to dig back into your foundation of your family and accept love from your family and give that love to your family as well. Because when you're watering your plant, it grows.
1,000%. I think that's the smart thing that you said, and I would like to dissect that a little bit more before we get out of here. You know, it's the family aspect. It's like a girl walking down an alley with a short skirt at night. You wouldn't do that because you know it's dangerous, you know, and a lot of us, we are out here alone, especially living in a metropolis, in a city. We've moved away from our family. It's just because your family isn't here, it's good to reignite those relationships, but also create a new family, a new circle of friends and people that you can trust, so that if you ever find yourself in these situations where you can't even see it, someone can help pull you out. Because if you wouldn't go down a dark alley alone, why are you going through life alone?
Exactly. No, you're right. And I've always been thankful. Our friendship is amazing, years and years and years.
We don't talk about it, girl.
And I have a small little network of friends that, you know, check on me, make sure I'm okay. And I'm blessed. I always give thanks to those, because I think without them, I wouldn't be able to tell my story. I would just be another Coco Loco in just walking around and just say that's another New York City nut.
It's a New York City nut. I mean, listen, what do you want to leave the people with after hearing your story? And are you going to continue to tell this story, or is it that was pretty much it? It went viral. That's it. Was it therapy?
No.
What's up?
I'm going to continue to tell it. I do know that there are other victims out there, and the fact of shaming is real. You know, the
victim shaming.
Victim shaming, absolutely.
Like it's your fault. You knew what you were doing.
Well, because the victims before me were shamed, they never told their story, so I was never aware of what happened, right?
Or it could happen.
Exactly. It could happen.
This is true.
You know, so I always say vocalize. You can do it without trashing an individual.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not about the trashing, it's about the story.
Exactly. The way I told my story, I told what happened to me. I never called him a name or nothing, because all of the things that he has done to me speak volume on who he is as a person. So I never needed to go into detail on, you know, the name calling.
No, of course.
So I just say, like, people have to hone into who they are themselves as a person, and you have to live your life. You have to continue pushing, living your life. Yes, it may hurt a little bit, but you got to keep moving forward. You can't drive your car in reverse.
I mean, people try.
Yeah, but you have to you have to keep pushing and
you have to keep pushing. You have to keep going, and you know, keep going. I feel like you're gonna find the one, or the one's gonna find you. I hope. So.
I'm not looking for anybody.
I know you're not.
I'm not.
Girl,
I'm enjoying myself.
I want to hear about this heartbreak motel.
Yeah,
you know, Whitney Houston status, burning down some, waiting to exhale. I see it happening, Jules. I see it. No, thank you for coming and telling your story. And again, guys, the reason why we decided to have this conversation today is, like I've always said, we need to share more of these stories, relate, have a sense of community. Community doesn't necessarily mean that I need to have my best friend right here. How many of us have long distance besties? We can all find our long distance besties amongst these things. And I think the best way to get over these things, or to not let these even happen to our daughters, our nieces, the little ones that are growing, is to share these stories.
Everybody has children that have aided this individual. Everybody has children. Like, what would you do if those happen? Those things happen to your kids?
1,000%. I can tell you before we even get out of here, one thing. It's like, it's the whole Titi Rule of not putting your drink down and walking away.
Exactly.
You know, and I remember that being like a sting on my hand. Like, because your Titi would slap your hand so fast, you don't not pick up that cup. And how many girls honestly just leave their drinks, go party, twerk, and come back? It's because the storytelling died. The warning stories died. We used to sit and have the community and tell these caution tales so that you can hopefully save another heartbreak. Because once your heart breaks, we can rebuild, but it'll never be exactly the same.
It's a little bit about a heartbreak. It's more about robbing the foundation of who you are as a person.
Heartbreak doesn't just mean love. It's the heartbreak of losing oneself, the heartbreak of even having to go through this, the heartbreak of a friendship that I thought existed.
Exactly.
Heartbreak. It's like a teacup. You know those little ceramic teacups? You drop that, you could piece it together, but some pieces is in dust, and that dust ain't never gonna go back to the same place. So,
exactly.
You know, anything we can do to help y'all, and you already know the vibes. You got to hit us up on the socials. Jules, how can they find your story? Because you also are now going into a new business venture. So y'all, she may have, you know, she's still tracking down that money, but she getting some more money in.
So yeah, I'm doing a new business venture, Jul Tones. Spin-off off of my name, Jul Tones. It's enlightening people on skin cancer. Us girls like to go to the tanning salon in the wintertime. And I'm not just going to say women, but men and women, you know?
I know. We have to stop doing that. It's a different time. You know, everybody want everything now. It's okay. No exclusions, guys. Don't hurt us.
So we're doing customized spray tans. You see the Kim K's, the J-Lo's, everybody.
Listen, spray tanning is it.
It's a glow.
People just want a little bit more melanin too, because even me, like, I'm more yellow in the winter than I am in the summertime.
It's a proven fact. When you have a little bit of a tan, you're a happier person.
So where can they find you and all this information, girl?
Listen, I have my social media, jules.jones with 2 S's, and just send me a message.
Send her a message.
Send me a message. My email, jul.j@me.com.
All right. And then the gram, that's where your stories are going to be too?
That's where my story is.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it here. All right. We want y'all to get it together, get the community. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at y'all for blasting the boys. I love all the stories. I'll be there with my popcorn. I'm like, ooh, who did it? Who done it? Okay.
Everybody from attractive people to not so attractive, the rich, the poor, everybody goes through it.
Everybody. We all have a heart somewhere.
Yeah, we have to normalize the storytelling.
No, we absolutely do, because that's how we learn. That's our ancestry. Right? Storytelling.
Exactly.
All right, and you're going to hear the stories right here on FUBU, all right? So listen, guys, again, thank you for joining us and listening to the story. Hit us up on the socials. Hit up Julia if you have any questions, or even if you just want to get something off your chest. Like, listen, we're girls. You can DM us. We'll talk about it. We'll walk you through it. You don't got to put your blast in your face and all that stuff out there, all right? But you already know the vibes. At Official FUBU Radio, U42, Chrys Childs, Chrys with a Y, do not ask me why, and Julia, drop that one more time.
Thank you, Chrys. Thank you, FUBU, for having me.
Thank you. All right, we out.